The message came on a Tuesday. Captain James Reed was eating breakfast in the United Earth Defense Force headquarters when the alarm started. Red lights flashed across the ceiling as he dropped his fork and ran to the command center. "What's happening?" he asked, his voice firm but calm. Lisa, the communications officer, looked up with wide eyes. "Sir, we're picking up a signal. It's not from Earth. It's not from anywhere in our solar system." The room fell silent. After centuries of wondering, humanity finally had its answer. They were not alone. "Show me," Reed ordered. The main screen lit up with strange symbols and patterns. The computer tried to make sense of it, running translation programs that had never been tested on real alien language. "It's a message," Thomas Gray said. He was the best language expert on Earth. "They're calling themselves the Galactic Council. They say they've been watching us for some time." Reed frowned. "Watching us? For how long?" "They don't say," Thomas replied, "but they're offering us membership in their alliance. They say it's a great honor." For the next week, Earth's leaders met day and night. Some wanted to accept the offer right away. Others were afraid. Reed stayed quiet, listening to both sides. Then one night, while everyone else slept, Reed noticed something strange about the alien message. There were hidden patterns in it, patterns that looked like scans of Earth's defense systems. "They're studying our weapons," he told General Williams the next morning. While talking about peace, the general's face turned serious. "What do you think it means?" "I don't know," Reed answered honestly, "but I think we should be careful." 3 months later, Earth sent its reply. They would send a ship to meet the Galactic Council. Captain Reed would lead the mission on humanity's most advanced spaceship, the Frontier *. The night before launch, Reed walked alone through the ship's empty halls. The Frontier * was beautiful, the best technology humans had ever built. But would it be enough? He made a decision then. He called Oliver West, the ship's engineer. "Oliver, I need you to add something to our shields, something that's not in the official plans." Oliver looked surprised. "That's against the rules, Captain." "I know," Reed said quietly, "but those scans in their message, I think they were looking for weaknesses. I want us to be ready." Oliver thought for a moment, then nodded. "I can add a secondary shield layer. It will use a different frequency than what they might expect." "Do it," Reed ordered. "Tell no one." The next day, thousands of people gathered to watch the Frontier * launch. It was humanity's first step into a much larger universe. As the engines fired and the ship rose toward the stars, Reed looked at his crew. Maria Bell at tactical controls, Thomas Gray ready to translate alien languages, and 20 others, all the best Earth had to offer. "We are making history today," Reed told them as Earth shrank behind them. "But remember, we represent all of humanity. We must be careful. We must be smart." He didn't tell them about the hidden shields or the secret scans. Not yet. He hoped he was wrong to worry. He hoped the Galactic Council truly wanted friendship. But as the Frontier * accelerated toward the coordinates the aliens had sent, Reed couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was heading into something much more complicated than a simple welcome party. The stars streaked past the windows as the ship entered deep space. Somewhere ahead, the Galactic Council was waiting, and Captain James Reed was determined that humanity would not be taken by surprise. After 3 weeks in space, the Frontier * arrived at the Galactic Council station. The massive structure hung in space like a small moon, glowing with lights and surrounded by hundreds of ships from different worlds. "It's enormous," whispered Maria Bell as she stared through the viewport. Captain Reed nodded. "Stay alert. Remember our mission." A smooth voice came through the ship's speakers. "Human vessel, follow the green guide lights to docking bay 12. As the Frontier * moved closer, Reed noticed how the other ships made way, their crews watching the human ship with obvious curiosity. "They're scanning us," Oliver reported from engineering. But our modified shields are working. They can't see everything. The ship docked with a gentle bump. Reed straightened his uniform and looked at his team. Thomas, Maria, you're with me. The rest of you, stay ready. When the airlock opened, Reed got his first look at the aliens. 4 different species stood waiting. The tallest had blue skin and 4 arms. The shortest looked almost like a walking plant. But their leaders stepped forward, a tall, thin being with gray skin and large eyes. "I am High Commander Vorn," it said in perfect English. "Welcome to the center of galactic civilization, humans." Thomas whispered to Reed, "They must have learned our language from our broadcasts." Vorn led them through grand hallways, filled with technology far beyond Earth's. Aliens of every shape and size watched them pass. Some looked friendly, others didn't. "The Council has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, Vorn explained. "We bring peace and order to all species." "And what do you get in return?" Reed asked. Vorn's smile didn't reach his eyes. "All members contribute to the greater good." They entered a massive chamber with a round table. Representatives from 20 different species sat waiting. Reed noticed how some seemed confident and comfortable, while others looked nervous and stayed quiet. "Today we discuss Earth's membership," Vorn announced. An aide handed Reed a thick document. "These are the standard terms. Very generous." While Thomas began reading, Reed watched the room. The power balance was clear. Vorn's species and 2 others dominated the conversation. Everyone else just nodded. "Captain," Thomas whispered after an hour, "this agreement would give them control of Earth's resources. And look at page 47. We would need to reduce our military by 80%. Reed kept his face neutral. "Can we request changes?" When he asked this question aloud, the room went oddly quiet. Vorn's smile disappeared for a moment. "The terms are standard for species at your development level," Vorn said. "For your protection, of course." "Of course," Reed replied politely. "But we'll need time to review everything." That night, in their private quarters, Maria shared what she had noticed. "The security is focused inward, not outward," she said. "It's like they're more worried about the member species than outside threats." Reed looked out the window at the spectacular view of stars. "We need to learn more before we sign anything." A soft knock interrupted them. Reed opened the door to find a small, furry alien looking nervously down the hall. "My name is Lisk," it whispered. "There are things about the Council you must know. Meet me tomorrow at the garden level. Come along." Before Reed could answer, Lisk hurried away. Thomas looked worried. "Could be a trap. Or the truth," Reed said. "Either way, we need to find out." As they prepared for sleep in the alien station, Reed couldn't help feeling they had walked into something much bigger and more dangerous than they had imagined. The Galactic Council's perfect surface was already showing cracks, and tomorrow, he would learn just how deep those cracks went. The next morning, while Reed prepared to meet Lisk, he sent Maria and Thomas to explore the public areas of the station. "Learn everything you can," he told them. "But don't draw attention." The garden level was beautiful, filled with plants from 100 worlds. Reed walked slowly, appearing to admire the flowers while looking for Lisk. "Human." The voice came from behind a tall blue tree. "Follow me, but look casual." Lisk led Reed to a quiet corner with no cameras. The small alien's fur was dull gray, and its eyes darted nervously. "I am from the Hylian system," Lisk whispered. "We joined the Council 200 years ago. They'd promised us knowledge and protection. And they didn't deliver?" Reed asked. Lisk's ears flattened. "They took everything from us. Our best minerals. Our best minds. Now my people make simple parts for Council ships. Nothing more." "Why tell me this?" "Because it happens to all new members." Lisk pulled out a small device. "This contains hidden records of what really happens. Take it." Reed accepted the small disk. "Why does the Council want Earth?" "Human brains," Lisk said simply. "Your minds adapt quickly. Your people solve problems in new ways. The Council fears this, but also wants to use it. Meanwhile, Thomas and Maria had found their way to the public archives. They moved through digital records, looking for information about Earth. "Look at this," Maria whispered, pointing at her screen. She had found a list of species the Council had integrated over the past 1,000 years. Many were listed as resource-depleted or population-controlled. Thomas moved to another terminal and searched for information about humans. What he found made his blood run cold. "They've been studying us for decades," he told Maria. "They're particularly interested in our neural adaptability and concerning evolutionary path. They think we could become a threat. Or a tool," Maria added grimly. Back in the garden, Reed was about to ask Lisk more questions when alarms began to sound. Lisk's eyes went wide with fear. "They know. You must go." The small alien pushed Reed toward the exit. "Use the information. Help us all." Security forces rushed into the garden. Reed walked calmly toward the public elevator, slipping Lisk's disc into his pocket. He needed to find his team. When Reed returned to their quarters, Thomas and Maria were waiting, their faces grim. "Captain, we need to leave," Thomas said. "The Council isn't what it seems." "I know," Reed replied, showing them the disc. "And now we have proof." But before they could plan their next move, the door slid open. High Commander Vorn entered, flanked by armed guards. "Captain Reed," Vorn said, his friendly tone gone. "I understand you've been speaking with unauthorized personnel." Reed stood tall. "I've been gathering information to help Earth make an informed decision." Vorn's large eyes narrowed. "And what decision would that be?" "To decline your offer of membership," Reed said firmly. The room went silent. Then Vorn laughed, a cold sound without humor. "You misunderstand, Captain. Earth's membership is not optional. It is inevitable." Reed stepped forward. "We won't surrender our freedom." "Freedom is inefficient," Vorn replied. "The Council brings order. Your species will serve, as all others do." "Humans don't serve well," Reed warned. Vorn signaled to the guards. "You'll learn. Take them to detention level. We'll begin the integration process for Earth immediately." As the guards surrounded them, Reed caught Maria's eye. She nodded slightly, activating a hidden communicator in her sleeve. The guards marched them out, not knowing that even now, a message was racing to the asterisk frontier asterisk. "Prepare for emergency extraction. The Council is hostile." The game had changed. Now it was about survival, not just for the crew, but for Earth itself. The detention level was deep inside the station. Guards pushed Reed, Maria, and Thomas into a small cell with a single light and metal benches. "The Council will begin your adjustment tomorrow," one guard said before leaving. When they were alone, Reed whispered, "Did the message get through?" Maria nodded. "Oliver should have received it." Thomas looked around the cell. "But how will they find us down here?" "They'll find a way," Reed said, trying to sound confident. "Oliver is the best engineer in the fleet." On the asterisk frontier asterisk, Oliver West had indeed received Maria's emergency message. He gathered the small crew that had remained aboard. "The captain and the others have been captured," he told them. "We need to get them out." "But how?" asked Jane, the pilot. "There are hundreds of ships out there. We're just one." Oliver smiled. "They think we're simple humans with basic technology. Let's show them they're wrong." Back in the cell, hours passed. Then Reed heard voices from the next cell. "Hello," he called softly. "Is someone there?" "Yes," came a reply. "I am Captain Dren of the Tolani. Are you the humans everyone is talking about?" "We are," Reed answered. "How many of you are being held here?" "Many," Dren said. "Any species that questions the Council ends up here. I have been here for 2 cycles." Reed was about to ask more when the lights suddenly went out. Emergency alarms began to sound throughout the station. On the asterisk frontier asterisk, Oliver watched his plan unfold. He had used the modified shields to create an energy pulse that affected the station's power systems. The pulse worked, he said. Now for part 2. The Frontier moved quietly away from its dock. Without power, the station's tracking systems couldn't detect them. They circled around to an emergency airlock near the detention level. In the darkness of their cell, Reed heard the door mechanism click. The power failure had reset the locks. Now, he whispered to his team. They pushed the door open and stepped into the dim hallway. Other cell doors were opening too, confused prisoners looking out. Reed spotted Captain Dren, whose skin glowed slightly in the darkness. "Captain, we're leaving this station. You and your people can come with us." "Where will we go?" Dren asked. "Somewhere free from the Council," Reed promised. "But first, we need to get to the central data core." Guided by the information on Lisk's disk, Reed led them through dark hallways. They reached a large room filled with glowing servers. "Maria, download everything you can," Reed ordered. "Military capabilities, coordinates of all worlds. We need to know what we're dealing with." Maria worked quickly while Thomas and Dren kept watch. "Got it," she said after a few minutes. "This is everything." An explosion rocked the station. Through a viewport, Reed saw the Frontier hovering outside an emergency dock. "Our ride is here," he said with a smile. As they ran toward the dock, Council security forces appeared, weapons raised. "Stop or we'll fire," they shouted. Reed didn't slow down. "Keep moving." The guards fired, but their energy weapons seemed to bounce oddly off the humans. Reed touched the special fabric of his uniform, another of Oliver's secret modifications. They reached the airlock where the Frontier waited. As prisoners from a dozen worlds crowded aboard, Council ships began to surround them. "Everyone hold on," Oliver called as he fired the engines. The Frontier shot away from the station. Enemy ships fired, hitting their shields. The ship shook but kept moving. "Our shields are holding better than they expected," Oliver said with pride. "They don't understand human engineering." As the Frontier accelerated to escape speed, Reed watched the Council ships falling behind. They had escaped, but the real fight was just beginning. "Set course for Earth," he ordered. "We need to warn them. And prepare." The Frontier reached Earth 2 weeks later, carrying not just its human crew, but also representatives from 7 alien species. Their arrival caused worldwide excitement and fear. In a secure room at United Earth headquarters, Reed showed world leaders everything they had discovered. "The Galactic Council plans to make Earth another slave world," he explained, displaying the data Maria had stolen. "They want our resources and our minds. They've done this to dozens of worlds." The room was silent as images of depleted planets and enslaved species filled the screens. General Williams spoke first. "What can we do? Their technology is far beyond ours." "Not as far as they think," Reed replied. He nodded to Oliver. "Their weapons and shields have weaknesses," Oliver explained. "They've grown comfortable. They haven't faced real opposition in thousands of years." Captain Dren of the Toleni stepped forward. His blue skin glowed softly under the lights. "My people know their bioweapons," he said. "The Vex understand their computers. Together with human creativity, we might stand a chance." Reed placed a star map on the table. "We found coordinates for 12 worlds recently contacted by the Council, worlds that might join us." General Williams looked doubtful. "You want to create an alliance against the most powerful force in the galaxy?" "Yes," Reed said simply. "Because separately we will all fall. Together we might survive." After 3 days of debate, Earth's leaders made their decision. They would not surrender to the Council. Instead, they would reach out to other worlds. 5 Earth ships were prepared, each carrying representatives from the rescued alien species. Reed would command the mission to the most distant worlds. Before leaving, He met with the engineers who were studying the Council technology from the data they had stolen. "We've learned so much already," the lead engineer told him. "Their weapons are powerful but predictable. They haven't innovated in centuries. Can we defend Earth if they attack while we're gone?" Reed asked. "We're working day and night," she promised. "We'll be ready." The 5 ships left Earth on different paths, each carrying the same message: join us or face the Council alone. Reed's ship visited 3 worlds. On each, they found people who had already begun to feel the Council's control tightening. When shown the truth, each world agreed to join the alliance. The Tolani contributed their advanced medicine and biology. The Vex shared their understanding of quantum computing. The fierce Krell offered their warriors. Each species brought something valuable. Most importantly, they brought their determination to be free. 4 months after the escape from the Council station, representatives from 12 worlds gathered on Earth. They called themselves the Free Systems Alliance. In a room designed to accommodate beings of all shapes and sizes, they drafted their first agreement. Unlike the Council's rules, this one was simple. Each world would remain independent, but all would defend each other. As Reed watched the representatives sign the agreement, Maria approached him. "Council ships have been spotted at the edge of our solar system," she said quietly. "A lot of them." Reed nodded. He had expected this. "Are our defenses ready?" "As ready as they can be," she replied. "The combined shield technology from the Vex and our engineers is strong, and we have surprises they won't expect." Reed looked around at the aliens who had become allies, even friends. The Council had ruled through fear for thousands of years. They thought all species could be controlled. They had never faced humanity before. "Send word to all Alliance worlds," Reed told Maria. "The real test begins now." The Council fleet arrived in Earth's solar system 3 days later. 100 massive warships, led by High Commander Vorn's flagship, the Dominance *. "Humans of Earth," Vorn's message boomed across all communication channels. "Your resistance is pointless. Surrender now, and your world will be spared severe damage." In the Alliance Command Center, Reed and leaders from all 12 worlds watched the incoming fleet on the large screen. "They expect us to surrender immediately," Reed said. "They always win that way." General Williams nodded. "Then let's disappoint them." Earth's response was simple: "We decline your offer." The Council ships moved forward, spreading into their standard attack formation. It was a pattern they had used for thousands of years against dozens of worlds. It had never failed. "All ships in position," Maria reported from her station. "Alliance fleet ready." Reed took a deep breath. "Begin Operation Surprise." Across the solar system, ships that had been hiding behind moons and asteroids suddenly activated. The Alliance fleet was smaller, only 60 ships, but they moved in patterns the Council had never seen before. "What is this?" Vorn demanded when he saw the unusual formations. "They're not following any known tactics." On the Alliance flagship, Reed smiled. "Human battle tactics, adapted for space. We've been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know a few tricks." The battle began. Council ships fired their powerful weapons, expecting quick victory. Instead, the Alliance ships dodged in unpredictable ways. Their combined shields, human technology enhanced with Vex and Tolani improvements, held against the Council weapons. "Sir, our ships report their weapons are more effective than expected," Maria told Reed. "The Council shields haven't been updated in centuries." The Alliance ships targeted the weakest points on the Council vessels, using information from the stolen data. 3 Council ships exploded, then 5 more. "Impossible," Vorn shouted as reports of losses came in. "These are primitive species." The Alliance ships moved in closer, surrounding Vorn's flagship. "Target their engines," Reed ordered. "Don't destroy the ship. We want to capture it." Precision strikes disabled the Dominance * while the rest of the Council fleet fell into confusion. Without their leaders' orders, they didn't know how to adapt to the unexpected tactics. Reed led a boarding team onto Vorn's ship. They fought their way to the bridge, where Vorn waited, his large eyes wide with disbelief. "How?" he demanded. "How could you defeat our superior technology?" "Technology isn't everything," Reed replied. "You became predictable. Humans never do." With the flagship captured, Reed accessed its communication system. Using the codes from the stolen data, he connected to every Council world simultaneously. "People of the galaxy," he began. "For too long, the Council has lied to you. They don't protect worlds. They exploit them." Reed showed the evidence. The secret mining operations, the enslaved populations, the lies told to keep member worlds under control. "Today, the Free Systems Alliance offers a different future," he continued. "One where all species are truly equal. Where technology is shared, not controlled. Where worlds remain free." Across the galaxy, on hundreds of planets, people watched. Many had suspected the truth but had been afraid to speak out. Now, seeing the mighty Council fleet defeated, they found their courage. On 20 worlds, protests began. On 50 more, local leaders demanded answers from Council representatives. The perfect control that had lasted for thousands of years began to crack. The Council's reign was ending, and humanity had sparked the change. 1 year after the battle at Earth, the galaxy had changed completely. Reed stood by the window in the new Interstellar Congress building. It had been built on neutral ground, a beautiful planet called Terra Nova, gifted to the Alliance by the Tolani. Ships from 50 worlds filled the sky above, coming and going freely. "Hard to believe how much has changed," Maria said, joining him at the window. Reed nodded. "The Council ruled for 10,000 years. We broke their power in one." After Reed's broadcast, the Council's control had collapsed quickly. On world after world, people demanded freedom. Some Council leaders tried to fight back, but without their central command, they failed. The 3 dominant Council species, including Vorn's people, had lost their special status. Now they sat at the same table as everyone else in the new Congress. "Ambassador Reed," a voice called. It was Lisk, the small alien who had first helped them on the Council station. "The opening ceremony is about to begin." Reed smiled. "Thank you, Chancellor Lisk." Lisk had been elected as the first leader of the new Congress, chosen for his courage and wisdom. The shy, nervous alien Reed had met was now a confident leader. In the Great Hall, representatives from 63 worlds gathered. Some had been part of the Council for thousands of years. Others were new to galactic politics. All were equal now. General Williams, now Earth's official ambassador, waved Reed over. "Quite a change from military life," Williams said, adjusting his formal clothes. "I prefer a uniform." "You'll get used to it," Reed replied with a smile. The ceremony began with Lisk addressing the gathered representatives. "Today we celebrate 1 year of true freedom," he said. "For millennia, the Council ruled through control and fear. They believed this was the only way to maintain order." Lisk gestured toward the human delegation. "But humanity showed us another path. When faced with a power that had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, they did not surrender. They did not fight alone. Instead, they reached out to others. They built connections. They shared knowledge instead of hoarding it." Reed listened, remembering the desperate escape from the Council station, the risky alliances, the battle that could have ended very differently. "Our new Congress is built on 3 principles," Lisk continued. "Freedom for all worlds to govern themselves, mutual defense against any threat, and open exchange of knowledge and technology." After the ceremony, many representatives approached Reed. Some thanked him. Others were simply curious about humans. "Your species accomplished in 1 year what others couldn't do in thousands," one alien said. "How?" Reed thought about this. "I think it's because we question everything. We never accept that something can't be changed." That evening, Reed was officially named Earth's ambassador to the Congress. As he accepted the position, he looked out at the diverse beings watching him. The council believed that control was necessary for peace, he said in his speech. They saw differences as dangerous. But humanity's history taught us something different. Our greatest achievements came not from control, but from cooperation. Not from sameness, but from diversity of thought. He looked at the former council species, now equal members of the Congress. Perhaps the galaxy needed both approaches. The council brought stability for thousands of years, but when that stability became stagnation, it was time for change. As Reed finished his speech, ships from dozens of worlds lit up the night sky in celebration. The galaxy had entered a new age, one where no single power ruled, where many voices were heard, and where humanity had earned its place among the stars.